Let's check out today's conversation. Mike sits down with agency owner Stephanie Briggs. Stephanie walks us through her whole journey, going from the moment the company she started at age 21 was forced out of business.
At that moment, you feel like you've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Because I am so competitive. Like, failure is not a thing for me.
To making the decision to leave a successful career.
I was fine with going in on Black Friday at 5 a.m., but Thanksgiving Day, that's why I was like, this is my last year.
To finally finding the perfect career fit for her talent in sales and rock-solid work ethic.
And then that second week I was out with her, I closed 6 cases in one day.
Wow.
All of this coming up next on the Level Up Lifestyle.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Level Up Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sheets, and I am coming to you from the Globe Life Studios here in McKinney, Texas. And I've got a great special guest with me here today, Stephanie Briggs. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Stephanie, you are an agency owner.
Yes.
With Globe Life Liberty National Division, very successful in Austin, Texas.
Yes,
right?
Austin, Texas.
Just down the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've had a great career here, a pretty quick rise to fame, rise to success, and it's been great to kind of watch that progression and see you do so well. And like I say every time here on the Level Up Lifestyle, we're really kind of talking to people who are experiencing tremendous levels of success and doing well in life, and just understanding that it wasn't always that way. We're seeing you where you are today, not where you were 5 or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And, so it's fun to just talk about that story and that process, the progression to who you are today and what made you. So that's what we want to do. So
okay.
You ready to dig in?
Let's go.
Let's get into it. So Stephanie, where are you from originally?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. What's life like in Knoxville as you're growing up?
Growing up, both my parents owned their own businesses.
Okay.
So,
what kind of business?
my mom was a caterer.
Okay.
So she had a very good catering business. And then my father actually opened a business for her. So for caterers to get like the cake pans, the fondant, everything that they needed.
Oh, okay.
So I was very much child labor.
Yes. You are also an employee of both of their businesses,
yes.
right?
So
you're a
weekends,
tax write-off.
Yes. So weekends, I was working at the wedding, scraping dishes, doing all the things. So I've always had that kind of like a work ethic instilled in me by
How old
them.
did they start having you work in the business?
6 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
So
I
this
had a
was
little
going
name
on.
badge that said taste tester.
Okay. So this had probably started, they were doing this before you had come along, right? So this is an established business that they're running. They bring you in at 6 years. What are you thinking when you're 6? You're just, what you do?
It's just normal life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, this is what we do. You learn how to do the electric slide real good, going to weddings and stuff like that every weekend.
Yeah. Was that fun?
It was, yeah. And then, of course, I can make a great vegetable tray.
Right.
I can do really good fruit displays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I'll ever use that in insurance, but
right. Well, maybe agency get-togethers,
but now I just pay people to do that.
Yeah, right. That's easier.
Yeah.
So they're doing the catering and then the supply company, and you're growing up in that, and I imagine it's busy, right? So are you seeing your parents working hard, work ethic, all that type of stuff?
Yes.
Is there a moment where you kind of saw like, wow, they're working really hard, or as a child growing up, whereas maybe things are different in my family than in maybe my friends' families, or my parents are working hard, or
my house was like, my family was, so all my friends they came to my house.
Okay.
So I think I was the one that people looked at like their family is doing it.
Well-to-do.
Right. As we got into high school, my mom would hire some of my friends so they could start having jobs at teenage years, and stuff like that. So,
did you ever graduate from the taste tester to actually an employee?
Yes. I actually started getting paid.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So we were the family that everybody else kind of watched.
Okay. So you see like, all right, something's different here.
Yeah. I mean, I never went without anything. Now, did they buy me my first car? Yes.
Okay.
But everything else, they actually made me work for and pay for. But they paid me, so.
Right. But you worked in the business. And
I had to work for it. Yeah.
So, how impressionable was like just work ethic as a child growing up for you?
Very. I mean, because I was taught at an early age, if you're wanting something, you've got to get out there and work for it. I had to pay my own cell phone bill.
Wow. Okay.
Back then, we had beepers.
Yeah.
I had to pay my own beeper bill, my own car insurance, everything like that. I remember gas was so cheap back then. I'll tell my age here. It was like 89 cents.
Yeah.
I remember going and counting my quarters out at the gas station.
Wow. But you get, the beeper, you got to go to the pay phone and put a quarter in and
well, then I got the brick.
Okay.
I got the brick that folds out, so I get the page and then I call on that.
Yeah. But it's funny. But it's interesting because, your parents are successful, and sometimes there's parents who are successful, they kind of struggle with how do you regulate this with your kids, and they could have gone down the route, I'm sure, of whatever you want, I'll get it for you. But you're working for these things. So was there like a time where like, I really want this, and they said go work for me? You're like, well, I don't want to work for it, and then you had to learn like I have to go get this.
Yeah, I mean they never. I don't think I ever really questioned it.
Okay.
Because it was just always taught.
Yeah. This
is what you got to do if you want things, and if you want nice things, you've got to work hard for it. So it's always just been in my blood to work.
Just stuck with
hard
you.
For it. Yeah. I mean, I like to have nice things. So.
Yeah. Right. Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. So did you see yourself as maybe joining the family business or starting your own business after school? Or what was that kind of your thoughts about what am I going to do now that you're growing up and moving on?
So in high school, I was very much into art. I was never the athletic person. I was like, I ran for homecoming queen for the art club. Okay. So I was first runner up too.
All right.
I was a little heartbroken because I'm very competitive. But
yeah. I would have never guessed that you're competitive. Yeah, right.
It's another story. But so I was very much into art. And my art teacher actually, she was like, you need to go into marketing. Just with my skill and all that.
Okay.
So I went to college for marketing.
Where'd you go?
Pellissippi State Community College. So I have an associate's in marketing. Okay. Never used it. It got to the last semester and we do an entrepreneurial class. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't need to go do an internship somewhere because I'm going to actually open another business, my own business. But it was an extension of my father's business.
You had almost kind of already interned your whole childhood.
Right.
I mean, you grew up in a business.
Yeah.
Did you see that business aspect of things, or were you just the laborer and they said so?
I knew how to do accounts payable, payroll, all the things.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and my parents also owned a jewelry store at the time too, just a small mom and pop one. So I also know jewelry very well at that time. So I'd hop between, am I going over here to sell the cake pans, or am I going to go sell a diamond over here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, so it sounds like there's not a lot of downtime.
No.
In the house.
That's why I couldn't be a cheerleader or anything like that because weekends we were working.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you decide to do then? So there's no internship after college. You're going to go start a business. What happened?
Yep. So actually I talked to my guidance counselor and I was like, so instead of doing an internship, can we just do it a little different? Like where I tell you everything that happens while I'm opening my business, building it. And she was like, yeah. So that's how I kind of got out of that internship thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was actually very good because that's something that they can actually use now in those entrepreneurial classes. So my father helped me get started with that, because
it's an extension of his business.
Well, we were separate, but it was the same business.
Okay.
Mine was incorporated, his was not, kind of thing. But and I was very successful with it for about 5 years. I took my employees on incentive trips. I take them to Mexico with their spouses and stuff like that.
So hold on. So how old are you at this point?
I was 21.
21. And it's a legitimate business, right? It's not, you're not selling cake pans on a lemonade stand on the side of the road. Like you start up an actual business, business plan, everything. How many employees did you have?
I had 7.
Wow. How'd you get your employees?
Friends and family, a lot of them, those teenagers that used to work for my mom, come work for me. And then also, I'd put ads out too, because I would hire other people. But I did cake decorating classes. We did the full on thing. I sold, fondant flowers. A lot of caterers shopped with me. So for like cake stands and stuff like that. But, I loved it, I was raised in it.
Yeah.
But then those big box stores started moving in, like AC Moore, Joann's, Michael's, and they literally like popped up right around my location.
So you have a brick and mortar.
Yes.
You've got 7 employees. Are you thinking that this business, this is kind of just what you're going to do, right? Because that's what you saw your parents do?
That's what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I just want to as a 21-year-old, where does this come from? Because there's not a lot of 21-year-olds that are, I'm going to go start my own business, negotiate this with their own guidance counselor in school, basically, and then go do it and execute it and make it legitimate. Where is this? Is this just a product of your childhood? Is this who you are?
I think it's a product of my childhood, and I'm just very driven.
Yeah.
I'm just not one to sit back and like, well, let's see if it happens. Let luck bring it to me. I got to go get it.
Yeah.
So, I built my first house when I was 23.
Wow.
Got married at 24. I was like, let's go.
What are we waiting for? Yeah, let's get on. Wow, okay. So you talk about how now the business is doing well. How long are you in business before you start seeing some of these other outside influences impacting you?
So about year 4 is when I really started noticing it, because the others didn't carry a variety that I did. But once more of them started popping up, they started carrying more of like what I was carrying, because I was carrying more things that they couldn't get. But, they were knocking prices down because they had so much other items they sold. I just couldn't compete with their prices and maintain my overhead.
Yeah.
So at year 5, I did have to close my business, and I was like, I knew that I was getting ready to have to do this. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because I can't go. I'm not going to be the person that's going to go home, sit on the couch and eat bonbons and look for unemployment. So I actually, my husband was a jeweler for Jared.
Okay.
And he's actually he was the repair shop manager, which they do K Jewelers jewelry repairs.
So when somebody goes into K and there's
they need a diamond.
Diamond fell out or.
It goes to Jared.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Of course, my husband, we've been together since we were 17.
Okay.
So, he knew that I already knew jewelry.
Met in high school.
We met in high school. Yep. High school sweethearts. Yeah. So he got me in at K's.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I know jewelry. So I'm a certified diamondologist.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you need diamonds checked, let me know.
Okay. So you're 20, what,
at that
6
time I was,
when you decide that, hey, this is, which is still at that age to have the revelation that I can't maintain the overhead of my business with these outside competitors is a pretty astute, I guess, realization.
You got to have good accountants too.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I mean, how difficult of a decision was it though at that point to decide? I'm sure it wasn't just one day you walked in and said, we got to sell.
No.
Were you fighting this for a while and, kind of, how are you feeling as this is starting to happen?
I mean, because, you're always in business, you have your ups and downs.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, maybe this is just a slump. And that slump wasn't, we weren't coming out of that slump. And that's when I was just like, okay, if I can't pay my people and pay my rent, I've got to just draw the line here.
Yeah. And
it was hard because, you make such good relationships with your clients. Right. I still talk to a lot of them today. Wow. They came to my wedding, and stuff like that. So it's hard, but people understand. But they also ultimately want the product. If they can go get at another competitor for cheaper, they're going to go do that. So that's.
So how long did it take for you to come to that decision that I have to
It took me about 2 months.
Okay. Which is still pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, I was,
you've been thinking about it maybe for a year or two.
Right.
Yeah.
About a year.
Okay.
And then it was just like, because you always wait for Christmas. Christmas is going to pull you out. And when Christmas don't pull you out.
So people were still they were going big box retail and you couldn't couldn't compete even in that month. So beginning of the next year, you're kind of like, that's it.
Yeah, we've got to call it.
So, what are you feeling at that moment? I mean, I know you seem to be pretty quick with the adversity and just move on. You don't sit there and
I'm not a dweller.
You're not going to stop and get paralyzed, but there's got to be something that you're feeling like this you thought was going to be your business. You saw your parents have a very successful small business. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out for you. I mean, where are we turning? What are you feeling in that moment?
At that moment, you feel like you've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Like I failed because I am so competitive. Like failure is not a thing for me. And it did feel like failure. But
was it hard for you to accept that?
Yes. But I just knew I needed to dust that off and get back to it. I just can't, you can't sit there and dwell on stuff like that. You've got to, life goes on.
Yeah. How long did it take you from, you said you had that moment when you had to shut it down, where you realized you had to shut it down, and it's 2 months to close it. How long did that feeling of I failed, I'm at rock bottom, how long did that last? Probably
for, a good year.
Yeah.
But I hit it. You can't let others see that in you. Mm-hmm. So I, quickly moved on, went to K's, moved up in there real quick, became a store manager, and I got in my groove there because they called me the shark. Because I'm so competitive, So,
right.
It got me out of that funk. So I could move on to something else and be successful.
Yeah, and I think even though you said you had that feeling for a year, how long from when you sold the business until you started working at K?
I started the net in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I knew I was going to have to do this. So I've got to have something else to go into.
So is there some mindset here where you're coming in and you're still having these feelings of, I couldn't make it work, but you're experiencing success in your new position. So how do you do that? Are you kind of just compartmentalizing it? Like, I can't carry this negative feeling into where I am now, even though it's hard. And I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure there were some days where you just, you didn't feel like doing it or whatever.
You feel like everybody's looking at you like you're a failure.
Yeah.
But my mentality is the moment when I walk through that door at that new business that I went to at K's, I've got to check anything else out because I'm there to work. I'm there to take care of those clients. I can't let my outside interfere with business.
How easy was that to do every day?
I'm just wired that way.
You just do it.
You just check it at the door. The moment you walk through that door, check it out.
Yeah.
Put the smile on and sell the bling.
Here we go. So a year goes by, you're doing well. I'm assuming you move up pretty quick.
Yes. I moved up to assistant manager within a year.
Okay.
And then they opened another location. So I got the promotion for the location I was at because that, I want to call her agent center, that manager moved to another location.
Okay.
So I got that store. And then anytime another manager went on to maternity leave or anything like that, I would go to take care of those stores as well.
So you're kind of traveling around and they're, I'm sure, loving you because you are, like you said, the shark, and just send you to wherever and you're going to.
I'll make it happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was President's Club every year. So I love like any kind of little award or anything like that. So when you were made President's Club, it means you were in the top sales. So you would get these little pins. Okay. Little gold pins with a diamond in it. And, I wore a suit every day. But I would put all my pins on my suit that day. My husband always laughed at me and said I looked like I worked at TGI Fridays.
It's all your flair. Right?
Yeah. But that, to me, that
you're proud.
It showed people that they're dealing with somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's going to be able to take care of them. So
how long did it? So you said about a year, then now you start feeling pretty successful again, right? You feel like
Yeah, I'm good. Water under the bridge.
Let's move on. Did you ever think about maybe going back and starting another business, or did you think that this was kind of just what you wanted to do?
At that point, I was probably like 5 years in with K's, and I was like, I'm staying here. I'm happy here. I'm good at this. I'm the top salesperson. I don't know. They've sent me to New York for academies and the different things, and got to meet different jewelry designers. But we started working on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Day.
And that's when I was like,
the Black Friday sale started moving in.
Yeah. I was fine with going in on Black Friday at 5 a.m. to sell the jewelry. But Thanksgiving Day, that's why I was like, this is my last year. And, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this till Mother's Day because, I don't want to leave my store dry because Christmas, Valentine's, and Mother's Days are the biggest times in the jewelry business. So I was like, I got to figure out what I want to do.
How many hours are you working during a normal week at this
I was
point?
working about 70 hours.
So you're there.
Yeah.
70 hours. And are you making pretty decent?
I was making salary, commission, and bonus.
Okay.
So, $70,000 to $80,000 a year, which I thought was good money at the time, but I didn't have time to go spend it and enjoy it.
Yeah, if you're working 70 hours a week and Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Eve till 5 probably.
Right. And, Christmas Eve, I didn't know what to think when I had a Christmas Eve off. I was like, this is crazy. But, and as a manager, your day off is Wednesday.
Okay.
Nobody that
in the middle of the week.
Nobody else is off on the Wednesday. Most people. They're off Saturday and Sunday. And then I'd be watching my friends because we lived on the lake.
Okay.
Friends and family, my husband, all out there on the lake. And here I am pulling out to go to work.
No one wanted to go out on the lake on Wednesday.
No.
It's a lonely day on the lake.
Right.
So it was Thanksgiving that pushed you over the edge then?
Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay.
I said, what finally snapped? Because it seems like you're just go. I'm not.
But, I say, okay, I'm going to work through Christmas. But I need to start thinking about what I want to do. So I knew that I was already going to start looking for something, but I didn't know what.
Yeah.
Do I find another jewelry store that's not working Thanksgiving? But at that time, just about everybody was starting to work Thanksgiving again. So, I went through Mother's Day, and then my friend Rusty, who I've known since kindergarten, is actually out of our corporate office.
Really?
He started out of Vicky's office.
Okay.
He kept trying to get me. He's about 3 years. He talked to me about coming to Globe Life Liberty National. And, I always shut him down. I was like, I don't know insurance. I know people who went and done that, and they just don't. They come back to the jewelry business, And I'm like, so I watched him, and I was like, he's doing really good. And if Rusty can do this, I can do it.
Yeah.
So I called Rusty up. I said, I'm done. I sold him all of his engagement rings.
Okay.
Yeah. All of them.
Okay. I'm not going down that road. This is your podcast. So,
But, so I actually went in for an interview in March of 2017 with Vicky and got called back for a final interview. And I actually had to call and tell my agent or my store that I had a flat tire because they couldn't get me in for my final at like 8 a.m.
Okay.
They couldn't do it until like 10. So I'm like, okay.
You need a little bit of time.
I'm like, okay, so guys,
and I'm sure knowing who you are, that it makes total sense. It would take you 2 hours to change a flat tire. I would have thought you'd just get a taxi.
I'm waiting on
and be here.
AAA to come. So I went in for that final, and I remember shaking. It was Jill Wilmuth was the agency director that did my final interview, and she was shaking my hand, and she was like, "Are you nervous?" I was like, "Not about this interview." I was like, "But I'm nervous because I just lied about having a flat tire, and you know how karma is."
Yeah.
But so from there, I took my test March 28th.
Okay.
And I promoted to a supervising agent 6 weeks later.
How did it feel to go in and tell Kay that, hey, I'm leaving as a store manager?
So I called my district manager because he traveled all over, and he actually was talking to me about how he just booked me a flight to go to corporate to become a district manager.
Oh, wow.
4K. And I said,
your career is still moving up.
Yeah. Yeah. But I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. So you're going to have to cancel that flight because I've took a position with Liberty National.
Is it the same conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was like, it wasn't a very fun conversation when I said that. He threw a temper tantrum, and I can't believe, you're going to go to a straight commission. I'm like, yes, I am.
How long have you been at Kay?
I'd been there for 10 years.
So you've been there for 10 years. You've been there a decade.
Yeah.
You were making good money. Yeah. You're living life how you want at this point, right? You're comfortable. Good lifestyle. Well, you're working a lot of hours. You get Wednesdays on the lake, and just I'm going to go 100% commission in a brand new industry that I would have never thought. And walk me through that decision. Just obviously, it was the hours that you were putting in was kind of pushing you down that road, but there's got to be some influence in there.
I saw Rusty's success, and then the work schedule was really drew me in. That Monday through Friday, I had never, even growing up, never had a weekend off.
Yeah,
because we worked on the weekends. And so I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to go do this thing with Rusty selling insurance. And I was like, what do you think? Of course, he's my biggest cheerleader. And he goes, you'll be fine. You're super competitive. You do great at anything you do. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I was like, I may, because we keep our money separate.
Okay.
He has his money. I have my money.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll know that I'll be good for 3 months and what I've got in commissions and what I've got put back. But I don't know how long it's going to take me to start rolling with this. And he was like, okay, well, we'll work it out. I didn't ever have to borrow any money from him.
Okay.
So, my first few weeks, I had a interesting training.
Okay. What was that like?
My supervising agent, if anybody's been to an academy, they've heard me say she was like Tennessee Snooki.
Okay.
Because I showed up in a suit and heels every day, and she was not dressed that way. I went 2 weeks with her without even seeing a presentation.
Wow.
At this point, I'm sitting here thinking, what did I do?
Right.
Do I go back? But I don't want to have that plan B. I burned that ship. Like
you don't want to have that conference. Call up your district manager. And
right.
After he just told you that you shouldn't take a 100% commission job, and then you beg for your position back. Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And I'm like, it'll be fine. I'll get all this training with this girl and I can go do my thing. But luckily my agency director, she got in the car with me and she just had to tweak a few things with me. And then that second week I was out with her, I closed 6 cases in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. Everybody else in the office was like, are you holding a gun to these people's heads?
Yeah.
I mean, because even Vicky was like, you're the quietest person in the office. Like, she didn't think I'd make it in the business.
Right.
And then all of a sudden and then she was like, you all need to ask her what she's doing. And all I was doing is doing my PAC calls and following the systems.
You're just 100% use the system and go.
Yeah.
Product of the system.
Yeah.
How important, I already know the answer, but how important is a system in success to you?
Very much so. Like I could go out by myself and close a case just with personality, but we can't transfer personality. So you've got to have those systems so that everybody can do it. And I'm a creature of habit, so I'm very routine. So we can't stray. So that's where the systems really work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just have always been that way.
Just stay consistent.
Yes.
And I think during the time frame that what year was this when you were starting your training?
2017.
Okay. So that's right as we're still, as a company, kind of evolving into who we are. There's new systems that are coming out for training. So,
Epic wasn't out yet.
Right. Yeah. We didn't have, a lot of this technology now that just streamlines all these things and helps fix some of the, the challenges that you encountered. But, in those first couple of weeks when you're out and you're not seeing success at all, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but is there that doubt creeping back into your mind of like, oh, I really think I messed up, or, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, so one, I was like, okay, because we didn't have Epic. And so I was like, so how do we keep all this organized? This is what I was asking my supervising agent, because she literally had papers everywhere in the car.
And you've been since 6 years old, like running the books for your parents, right?
So I'm like, this is chaos here. And so, and she was like, oh, we just fill out this form, this bubble sheet, and then we just take a picture of it and send it up. And I'm like, but we're in different towns doing different, how are we going to maintain when we need to come back to this person or that person? And at that time, it was just like, okay, I went home and I looked at Kane. I was like, I've got to come up with a system that works for me. So I went and got myself this big, I guess you'd call it a caddy, and put it in the back of my trunk.
Okay.
And I had a binder for every town. And then I had it labeled for like what months I needed to go back so that I could flip.
Wow.
And, but I couldn't put groceries in my car because I had all that.
You got this all stuff in the trunk.
Yeah, that was my office.
Yeah.
But I was organized.
Right.
So, and I think that's what helped me get a system going. And then I think it was that August, they actually came out with Epic.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
You didn't want to go on
I don't like
technology.
technology. I'm just not good with technology.
But you had the cell phone, you had the beeper as a kid growing up.
Yeah, but that was like a lot. Like, I just remember sitting in there when they were rolling that out. I was like, how are we going to do all this? But now I love it, and it's such a good thing for everybody.
Are you not liking change when you feel like you've got a system down? Like, why change it? It's working. Is that kind of your personality?
No, I'm open to it, but I was struggling with like just learning how to use it.
Okay.
Because, I'm open to like what's going to make us work better and more efficient. Let's do it. I mean, I'm good with change. I can move like a gypsy.
Right.
So, but, yeah, Epic, it made a difference. I think I was hesitant with it because it was new and I didn't know how to use it. And I thought, I've got to go put all those binders of businesses in this program. Mm-hmm. That's going to take a long time because I closed a lot of cases during that time frame there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for some people that are listening to, like there's some people that know what Epic is and some that don't. And Epic is really it's a CRM, which is a program on your phone and on a laptop that, you talked about how you had that experience where the papers are everywhere and then you created this big filing cabinet in the trunk of your car. And Epic is that on a computer and a phone, essentially. But then it also gives your leadership as an agent insight into what you're doing in the field so they can coach you and help you.
Real-time data.
Real-time. It's the scoreboard. So you're coaching a game with the scoreboard on versus waiting till the end of the week to turn it on is how we've said that. So, and you're just resistant to it because I've got a system. This is a lot.
It was scary at first, but you got to where you weren't running home to take a picture of that bubble sheet and get the jot form sent up to your AD and AO before a certain time, So it made things a lot better. So I adapted to it.
You did. So when did you feel like this might actually be a career for you versus something that I just need to make work so I don't have to call my district manager back?
Well, I will tell you this. So one of the managers for Kay's, she needed Christmas help.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'll come help one weekend. I said, but I'm going to work the princess shift. So the princess shift is that you don't put the jewelry out and you don't put it away.
Okay.
Because if you put it out, you've got to count it in the morning. And when you put it away, you have to count it in the evening. And if something's off, you're still counting.
Gotcha.
So princess shift is like 11 to 7.
Like where'd these rings go?
Right. So
no one leaves here till we find these 3 rings.
So I was like, I'll come and work a Saturday for you and I'll do the princess shift. So I'm just coming in there to sell.
Okay.
And, I sold like 20 grand that day.
Wow.
But I went home and I was like, now I know why I got out of that. Yes, I like selling jewelry. I was like, but I worked on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't like giving up my Saturdays anymore. I want to be out on the boat or go skiing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be in a jewelry store, So that's when it was just like, and then while I was there, I sold some policies to the ladies there. So I was like, okay, insurance is my gig.
Did they know you were doing that? Or was that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So, because, of course, they were trying to lure me back in.
Yeah.
And
you can sell some insurance. Just come in here. It'll be okay.
But no, that was probably okay, I'm doing this. And then, when I came to 101 was when you all had my 101 was the first year for SEAL team.
Okay.
And I remember walking in and seeing all those pictures of those people on SEAL team. And then I heard that they got to go to the NASCAR and they got special Nike shoes and stuff. And I was like, I came back and I told Vicki, I said, I am making that team 1 year. And she's like, okay. And my goal was always to be a regional agency director and just stay in Knoxville, travel around wherever Vicki
So that's where you're
me.
from. I mean, you're born and raised there.
Yeah, I have a
You've
house
done everything
there.
in your career in your hometown up until this point.
All my family's there, everything, so that's what my goal was, and then I went to 301.
Okay. And just so the 101, this is as you're a new agent, you experience some success and you get promoted into leadership. You're a supervising agent. And we like for all of our new supervising agents to come to the home office and we do a leadership academy. It's 3 days where we talk about kind of the principles and the tenets of growth in leadership. And that first one's the 101. Then there's, it just goes from there 201, 301, 401. 301 is now you're an agency director.
Yes.
Brand new, just got promoted again.
Yes.
And you came to the 301.
I went to 301 and then I was listening to Luke talk about the AO opportunity and things like that. And at that point was where I texted Vicki while I was there and I said, I want to be an AO. And she was like, yes. Because she thought that I was just going to stay there with her, but she was like, okay. So.
Well, so that's an interesting response. And we know Vicki, and I know exactly who she is and where her heart is, and I know people listening, maybe some know her and some don't. Right. But sometimes the person that's leading you're, an agency owner or a boss, they don't necessarily want to promote you because you're doing such a good job. It's going to make my life harder if you go, right? So sometimes that response maybe is, okay, well, let's talk about it. But for her just to immediately come back and say, yes, I'm excited. What did that mean to you?
It meant the world. Over the years, I got closer and closer with Vicki, and I call her Big Mama and she hates it, but she calls me Little Mama.
Okay.
So we just had a really good relationship. And I know that she always wants the best for me.
Right.
Even to this day, she's still like, what do you need? You good? So it just meant okay, she believes me. She believes that I can do this. And I was like, okay, so what are the next steps? What do I got to do to become an AO? And she goes, well, you need to make SEAL team.
Okay. And so SEAL team is the top of the top agency directors, regional agency directors. We handpick them. You got to be great in everything that we do, right? To make it on the SEAL team, and we get you together, and it's you and the top other people kind of sharing ideas and learning and growing. So it's a great experience. So you want to go on SEAL team, okay. And Vicki's supportive. She's pushing you. Let's do this, which is fantastic.
Right.
And
so I was like, so how do I do that? How do I get there? And then she's like, okay, well, we need to open another location. And I was like, okay. Well, so I was like, well, she'll let me know when she's going to do something like that. So I was like, okay, I'm here in Knoxville for a while.
Yeah.
And then she gets on GroupMe one day and goes, I'm opening an office in Indiana. Who wants to go? And I was sitting there, they're like, never heard of Evansville. And so nobody, a couple people replied oh, me. And then she called me. And I was like, she's calling to tell me I need to go.
Why did you not say me?
And so I was like, Vicki, I've never even heard of that place. And she goes, well, Shoe Carnival's based out of there. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, let me talk to Kane. And then Kane was like, if it's going to help you further in your career, do it.
Yeah.
And
that's an interesting selling point that Shoe Carnival is there. And
I like shoes.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. Okay. I can see.
So, here I go to Evansville and open that office up with her. And, which really kind of helped get me
scratch.
ready.
This is brand new. We
don't have any
ground up
re-enrollments. We had to start everything from scratch. So
what was that experience like?
It was different, because I started in Knoxville, which was already built, and then just opened more accounts there. So I went up the first week just to check the place out. And, everywhere where you prospect, the towns are different. So I wanted to make sure that they were going to be good with me, which they were. They liked my accent. So it was very fun and exciting to be decorating the office, and
have some ownership of it, right?
Yeah, she let me design the whole thing, pick all the colors, so it was like my office. So she was grooming me for that AO. And we did a very good first year, and then COVID happened.
Okay.
And, we all went virtual.
What are you thinking? So so did you move to Evansville?
I had an apartment there.
Okay.
And then I would come home on the weekends to my husband.
Okay.
So I still have my
5 days a
Tennessee.
week, you're out of town, and then you're just seeing Kane
on
weekends. That's it.
I did that for 2 years.
and you're starting to build it. Had some challenges, I'm sure.
But I've got some supervising agents. They were closing cases. We were doing good. Actually, right before COVID happened, I had two essays I was about to promote to AD.
Okay.
But we went to, I'll never forget it. We went to go enroll a restaurant. And he met us at the door. Here we are with our donuts and everything. Yeah. And he goes, I can't let you in. They've shut us down. And I don't know when we'll be able to open back up because of COVID.
And what are you thinking?
What are we going to do? Because we go to businesses.
Yeah.
How are we going to make money? We walk into business and but I couldn't tell my agents that. But I called Vicki. I'm like, because it wasn't that bad in Knoxville yet.
How did it feel to be in leadership and not know what to do?
It's scary.
Yeah.
But, it's like I have to keep the strong face for them. They can't know that I'm over here like, how are these kids going to make money? How am I going to make money?
Yeah.
So we're going through that. Of course, corporate came through with the virtual. I struggled with Zoom because I struggled with technology, but I learned it. I'm a pro at Zoom now.
Yeah.
But
we had a lot of similar thoughts going through our minds here as this is happening as well. And then it's figure it out. We got to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, at one point I even had to call Vicki. I was like, I need a letter to travel across states. Because they were starting to block us in Illinois. Because we would go into Illinois as well. So we had to have a letter showing that we were an essential business to travel across lines.
Like just to drive across the border?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I carried a letter that somebody here at corporate made for me. And we stapled my business card to it, showed all the states that I need to go to.
Well, and there's just so many stories that go untold of people, like for you, what you're doing in the field, and for what a lot of people did here in the home office during that time to come up with that essential worker letter, and just the amount of time and energy and hours after hours, people coming in here on the weekends, early mornings to do that. There's, I think we just need to, maybe acknowledge that was just such a huge thing for the company to be able to do that. So, but I did not realize that you had to do that just to travel into another state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. And we were starting to open back up a little bit in Indiana to where we could go into the businesses. So I was coming up, driving up there, and I was going to go meet with the two girls I was wanting to make ADs, and the whole office quit.
Wow.
They didn't want to do the virtual anymore. They were struggling with it, and all but except for one brand new hire. So I had to go back up there, and I called Vicki and I was like, I'm on my way. Everybody's quit. They've turned their keys in. And at this point, she's thinking I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going back up there and I'm just going to go out there and prospect and rebuild. And we're going to teach this new agent how to do it. And I'll make her an SA. I finally made her an AD. We rebuilt. And that year I made SEAL team.
Wow. Wow. So when you find out that everyone quit, did you ever reflect back on that feeling of when you had to close down your business and how that made you feel, and then how you just put those blinders on and went to work and then had a very successful year at K that next year? I mean, that's a similar thing. Did you correlate that, or was it just that
it's like, okay,
out?
this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
We can't sit there and be pitiful and, oh, me. We just got to get back to work.
Yeah. So you make SEAL team?
Yeah, I was actually prospecting in a business, and you had been blowing my phone up, and Vicki's like, call Mike Sheets now.
I think you were the last one. We were like, I need to get this email out announcing everyone, plan travel, and I need you to pick up.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I made SEAL team. And I remember I was in the car with Ramona. I was prospecting with her, and I was like, I just made SEAL team. She's like, what does that mean? I was like, that's like impossible.
Yeah.
I was like, that means I did good.
15 out of, there's 900 people in leadership in the company right now, and you're the top 15.
Yeah. So I was super excited. Like, I about jumped out of my skin. Yeah. I was calling my husband. I was calling Vicki, everybody. So, that was an amazing experience. And that year we went to Scottsdale, Arizona.
Right. Yep.
And,
that was the first one.
Yeah, we were the test.
Yeah, right. And it was so funny. I remember that it was just a beautiful resort, and no one was there. Remember that we were the only ones there, and they put us in like this enormous ballroom that looked like a gymnasium for 15 of us, and we were sitting like 40 feet apart from each other. And
we were told not to leave the resort.
Yeah, the world was so crazy back then. But I just felt like it was really important for us to get back face to face because that leadership development, it's just so hard to do that over the phone or over Zoom. So, and we had to cancel that last year we had to cancel some SEAL team meetings just with, COVID scares and things like that. So anyway, so what happened at SEAL team for you?
SEAL team, the first day was just really good for me, getting to make friends with everybody that I didn't already know. But Luke got up there and talked about the AO position, and, I already knew I wanted that. So I went up to him after he got done talking and I was like, can I talk to you at dinner about that AO position? Kind of like what I need to do kind of things. And he's like, yeah. So we're over there, at dinner. Everybody else is over there staring at us like, what's going on over there at that conversation?
Yeah.
Is she in trouble or what? Because here you come and sit down. They're all like, oh.
Something's happened.
Something's happening. But I just talked to you all about how much I wanted to be an AO. Right. Kind of asked me my leadership style and different things like that. So then I'm like, okay. My feathers maybe in there,
It's part of your plan, right? Yeah. You're thinking, I want to be an AO. Vicky's supporting you, giving you the direction. Make SEAL team. You're at SEAL team. You're voicing to people that you think can get you to where you want to go, what you want.
Yeah, I know if you don't tell somebody that you want something, you're not going to get it.
How long in your mind did you think it would be from that point before you'd maybe have a real opportunity at being an agency owner?
I was thinking maybe 6 months, a year. Maybe,
start having conversations.
Yeah, and then, because we would need to do bullpen, all the different things. And then,
when'd your phone ring?
My phone rang in April.
Okay.
Beginning of April.
So about 3 weeks later.
Again, I wasn't prospecting that day. I was enrolling in Kentucky. And I was like, I got to step out. Mike Sheets is calling me.
Sure.
So I'm like, what? First question is like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Did one of my children do something?
Right.
But then you were like, so what do you think about Austin, Texas? And I was like, well, I've never been there before. And you tell me it's wine country, and I was like, well,
I think it said hill country,
no,
and
there's wine country.
Okay. I meant to say hill country, and I said wine country. There are wineries there though.
There's
right?
like a ton. Yeah. So I was like, well, you had me with wine. Okay.
Well, I'm glad I misspoke. It was like a good misspeak.
Yeah. So because we already
Shoe Carnival gets you to Indiana, and wine country gets you to Texas.
Yeah. So we went down there the end of April, and I met the team down there. Because I did a takeover, and it was, they were very receptive to me. I kept most of them. I flew down on a Thursday, flew back Friday, packed my bags, and was back down there on Sunday. Already had an apartment because I had to move so quick. I couldn't get nothing else. So and I'm not an apartment kind of girl, but that's what we had to do for a little bit there. And so, here I am in Texas now. I love it, which I said I wanted to be in Texas. Y'all just happened to find me in Austin.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in Texas because it's warmer, and I knew my accent would do good here.
Yeah.
It doesn't do well in the north.
Right.
Everybody knows I'm not from there. It is a little bit hot here for me now, but
we're getting through it.
Yeah.
We're getting through it.
I put misters up everywhere.
Yeah. The summers, the summers are warm, but, the winters are nice.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of tacos or brisket, but I find other food.
Austin has a lot of other options besides brisket tacos.
Right.
So, okay. So then we have this conversation, and I'm sure it goes something like, "Hey, what do you think about Austin? I need to know pretty quick if this is gonna, something you want to do." So you are going to leave the place that you are born and raised, and your family's there, and your business is there, and go into a complete unknown environment in a state that you've never been in a part of the country that you've probably aren't very familiar with. So why did you decide to do that?
Opportunity knocks, you take it.
Okay.
I might have been waiting 3 more years if I didn't take the position.
Yeah.
And I walked into a gold mine. Not everybody does. A takeover isn't the easiest thing. Everybody can quit or everybody can stay. I just happened to have a good group, and it worked well for me. And
you brought some people with you.
I brought people with me too. So I had my own crew as well, and they blended well. And, they promoted out.
And you've promoted 2 agency owners.
2 agency owners, yes.
And you've been an agency owner for how long?
2 years.
2 years. So that pay it forward, that attitude that Vicki had with you, and go and chase your dreams.
Make me proud.
Yeah. How important is that attitude for you to have with your people?
It's very. So I call my agents my kids. Everybody knows that. So I don't have children, but those are my children. Now, some of my children are 60 years old, but so I care more about their success than anything because that's an extension of me.
Right.
And I think Vicki feels the same about me. So, she just loves to see like when I win an award or something like that. So I can't wait to see them start walking across those stages and getting those awards. It just gives you chills because it's like, that's my child. She spread her wings and did it.
Yeah. It's great to see.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
I mean, that's what we're in this business for, is to help build people. Yes, we sell insurance, but we're in this business to help build people and have lives that they've never had. Like Ramona, she was a single mom working. She was in the restaurant industry, so she was working all those kind of crazy hours I was.
Yeah.
And she thought making $50,000 a year was good money. And I was like, baby girl, sit back. I'm going to show you some money. And I remember, the year before she promoted, she made $250,000, and she was just
it's life-changing.
Yeah.
You're changing people's lives.
And she'd only been with us for a year.
Yeah.
Or a year and a half. So
it's amazing.
It's just crazy.
And now she's an agency owner.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just gives you chills, and that's what we do.
Well, if you really kind of just look back on everything up until this point in your career and in your life, I keep coming back to that mindset of put the blinders on and go to work.
Yeah.
Because, it's fun to talk about developing people to agency owner and they move, but it's hard on you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your best, it's not your second or third best person that's going, it's your best person.
Best person.
And that person's going to want to take their best people.
Yep.
And you're kind of having to always kind of rebuild or reload. So how's your mindset with that, just on promoting and developing people to the point that they leave the nest? How are you preparing yourself for that on a daily basis so that you can get people to where they need to go?
I'm always looking for that next person that needs to go into that next level. So even as a supervising agent, I'm looking and grooming. We do bullpens. So who is going to be that next AD? Because I know I've got this one over here that's about, y'all are going to be like, hey.
Yeah, right.
Or they're going to raise their hand, I want to go be a trainer, or I want to be an agency owner.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking who I've got to invest that time in. And, yes, they get that from their agency directors, but I pick certain ones that I know that I've got to, this person's on that path.
Yeah.
So I've got to get that to where I can get that reloaded. Because this last time, Ramona, she got all my agency directors.
Yeah, she did.
She did.
I remember having conversations, and I don't want to say being concerned for you, but like, what's your plan here? And again, it's been such a great discussion here because you as I've known you through work, you're just okay. I'm just going to do the job. And I think when we talked about this, this is going to be the shortest podcast ever because I just go to work and there's nothing to tell. But there are some of those things underneath it, and it's that mindset that you have, and it's the time that you spend developing, and I think it's the ownership that you have to do it.
Yeah. Nobody else is going to do it for me. So, if everybody quit, I'm going to have to get out there and close all the cases.
Right.
But they ain't going to do that.
Right. Well, you're going to keep them. Yeah. So, okay. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey. It is great. I'm sure it's impactful to so many people to kind of hear what you've gone through in your mindset as you've gone through all those obstacles and challenges.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. As you may know, the tradition that we have here on the Level Up Lifestyle podcast is all of our guests receive a bobblehead of themselves that you can.
I've been worried about what this bobblehead's going to look like.
Oh, I think it'll be okay. The bobbleheads are coming out fantastic, it's something that you can take and kind of proudly display. in your agency that, hey, here's my bobblehead. And then in upcoming seasons, we'll have them all kind of like just displayed over here for the people that are watching on YouTube. You can actually, so if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we have a YouTube channel as well that this whole visual thing is going on. So it's kind of funny. We do a visual joke at the end for an audio podcast, but watch it on YouTube and you can see what the bobblehead looks like too. So anyway, all that to say, here is your Level Up Lifestyle bobblehead.
Oh, she's cute. I was wondering what outfit you all picked. My pink jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, you all even put my little pin on there.
We got your logo. We don't even need to talk about it on this, but yeah, we have your we've got your pin and the letters and everything on there. So I hope you like it.
I do. I love it.
So here's what I want to ask: if you can go back in time and you kind of talk to your bobblehead self as you're maybe going through these challenges of, I got to shut down this business and wondering what's next, or man, I got to work Thanksgiving, I don't know if I can do this anymore. What would you tell yourself back in those moments that you know now that you'd want to tell yourself back then?
I should have quit and came here a lot sooner. I'd already be retired.
Yeah, you might be.
Yeah. Also, just never give up. I never gave up. I just pushed through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took Rusty's advice sooner and came on the first time he tried to get me on here.
Yeah. Well, you're here now.
Yes.
You're here now.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this episode has inspired you on your path to success. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story. See you soon on the Level Up Lifestyle Podcast.